Somewhere around the third hour of a single game this year, I had to put down my controller, stare at the ceiling, and ask myself if I was still allowed to be this emotionally destroyed by pixels. The answer apparently is yes, always yes, because 2026 has been the kind of year that ruins your sleep schedule, wrecks your social life, and leaves you thinking about fictional characters at 2 a.m. I played through most of it, so you don't have to wonder. Well, so you absolutely do have to go play it yourself, but at least you will be warned. Welcome to Nullplayer Paradox. I am Castigator, and here are the 5 games that defined my first half of 2026, plus one runner up at the end that technically sits outside the ranking but earned its spot in a way that permanently changed how I review games. Let's go. Capcom has been on a roll for years, reviving Resident Evil, refining Devil May Cry, turning Monster Hunter into a phenomena, but nothing prepared me for Pragmata. Released in April across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch 2. This game doesn't just raise the bar, it hurls the bar into orbit and dares anyone to try reaching it. I gave it a 96 out of 100, and honestly, the 4 points I held back feel like cowardice. You play as a mysterious astronaut-like figure in a near-future New York shattered by some catastrophic anomaly. The city is frozen mid-moment, cars suspended in air, trees crystallized in the sky, and gravity has clearly forgotten its job. You are paired with a small girl who seems to hold the key to everything, and the game never rushes to explain what she is. It just lets that tension sit there with you, quietly unsettling for hours. The combat is fluid and deeply satisfying, the kind of thing that eventually stops feeling like button inputs and starts feeling like instinct. Parrying, dodging, chaining abilities together until the whole thing flows like a conversation you have finally learned the language of. And underneath all that visual splendor is a story that earns its ambition completely. It goes to hard places, the kind that leave you sitting with the credits rolling, just breathing. I genuinely couldn't find a weakness. Every system, every beat, every frame felt intentional. Pragmata is the pinnacle of what a single player experience can be.
Not bad. You can almost smell the nature.
Right behind it at number 2 is something that genuinely caught me off guard. And the most surprising part is that it's a Battlefield game. We all have a complicated history with this franchise. Battlefield 2042 was so rough at launch that the community seemed to be running a grief support group. So when Battlefield 6 was announced, my skepticism was fully loaded. Then it came out last October and I came to it purely for the campaign, which historically is a part of Battlefield you play through once out of obligation before forgetting it exists. Not this time. The campaign is a genuinely gripping geopolitical thriller, the kind that starts grounded and escalates into a spectacular set pieces without ever losing the thread of why any of it matters. You are dropped into a modern conflict where lines between sides blur almost immediately, and the game is smart enough to let that ambiguity breathe rather than resolving it into something neat and comfortable. It's tense, it's cinematic, and for the first time in a long time, I actually cared about the characters I was fighting alongside. The only crack in the armor is the visuals, which occasionally feel like they are playing catch up to the ambition of everything happening on screen. In a world where Pragmata just redefined what games can look like, Battlefield 6 sometimes shows its seams, but that's a narrow complaint about an otherwise excellent package. A 92 out of 100.
We gotta push through to that last AAA.
Tango above is down!
Number 3 is where things get unexpectedly emotional because nobody warned me that a 2022 narrative adventure would hit me this hard in 2026. As Dusk Falls from Interior Night and Xbox Game Studios is a game I somehow slept on at launch. I came to it late and immediately wanted to go back in time and clear my schedule. Two families are violently and permanently intertwined by one desperate night in an Arizona motel, a robbery, hostages, and choices that ripple outward across 30 years of marriages, estrangements, and quiet moments of unexpected grace. The presentation is striking, an illustrated storyboard aesthetic with painted static frames that somehow feels more cinematic than a lot of fully animated games. And the decisions you make actually matter, not in the superficial way, where a choice changes cutscene color, but in the deep, occasionally heartbreaking way, where something you did in chapter 1 quietly detonates in chapter 3 and you realize exactly what you set in motion. I scored it 91 out of 100, and as a piece of storytelling, it is genuinely remarkable.
Cool, ethereal, thermostat control. It's AC by Vince.
Fourth place belongs to Obsidian Entertainment and The Outer Worlds 2, released last October for Windows, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. If the original was a witty, satirical critique of corporate capitalism dressed as a space opera, the sequel is the same critique with sharper teeth and a bigger universe to roam. You are a customizable drifter navigating a future where mega corporations own solar systems and human lives are line items on a balance sheet. The writing is dense and frequently hilarious, the kind of game where you read every terminal log and shop description because the writers are clearly having the time of their lives and they want you to have it too. You can talk your way through most of it, shoot your way through all of it, or find the chaotic middle ground where you charm someone and then shoot them anyway just to see what the game does with that. The companions you recruit have actual opinions about your choices and they are not shy about sharing them. The only stumble is the main story's central arc, which occasionally strains to match the quality of the individual quests surrounding it. Like a frame that's slightly too thin for the painting, it's holding. At 90 out of 100, it is still one of the best RPGs this generation has produced.
Confirmed. The commander has received a full briefing on the following topics.
Tied at 90 and rounding out the list at number 5 is Hell Is Us, a game I think was criminally overlooked when Rogue Factor and Nacon released it last September, and I want to help correct that. You play as Remy, a man who returns to his Civil War-torn homeland only to find it overrun by something far worse than soldiers. Grotesque, ancient creatures the locals simply call demons. What makes this game special is its stubborn refusal to hold your hand. No quest markers, no map pinging your destination. You navigate by reading the environment, listening carefully to what NPCs actually say, and paying attention in the way games rarely ask you to anymore. It creates a genuine sense of exploration that most modern games have traded away for the comfort of convenience. And it feels earned every time you figure something out. The combat is deliberate and weighty, and when it clicks, it's deeply satisfying. The weaknesses are real though. Customization options are thin, and the launch version had bugs ranging from mildly funny to genuinely irritating. Patches have helped but come prepared. Still, at 90 out of 100, this is exactly the kind of ambitious, slightly rough gem I would rather spend hours in than 100 technically flawless but completely forgettable releases. Now about the runner-up, and this one needs a moment of honesty. Nobody Wants to Die came out in 2024, developed by Critical Hit Games and published by PlayOn, and it carries a perfect score of 100 out of 100. It's a noir detective thriller set in a future New York where death has been conquered. Consciousness can be transferred between bodies, the wealthy cycle through new forms indefinitely, and your physical body has become the ultimate status symbol. You play as James Carr, Sarah detective drowning in personal grief despite living in a world that solved the problem of dying, which is exactly the kind of bitter irony that Great Noir is built from. He's investigating murders that shouldn't be possible given the technology of the age, and the mystery unravels across one of the most visually stunning environments I have ever seen. 1940s architecture fused with bioluminescent future technology, a city that looks like Raymond Chandler designed it during a fever dream and someone actually built it. The writing is razor sharp, the atmosphere suffocating in the best possible way, and the ending lands with the weight of something enormous and inevitable. So why is the perfect scored game sitting outside of the top 5? Because when I reviewed it, I was using a rigid static scoring system, fixed weighted categories applied equally to every game regardless of what that game was actually trying to do. The problem is obvious once you see it. You can't evaluate a slow burn detective narrative by the same checklist you use for an action RPG. That realization broke my old system completely and I rebuilt it around dynamic weighted categories, each game judged on the things that actually define what it's trying to be compared to its own genre. Nobody Wants to Die is the reason that system exists now. The perfect score stands, the masterpiece label stands, and the honesty it forced out of me will shape every review I write going forward.
Lucky for me, I got just the thing to help get through it.
That's the first half of 2026. It's been a remarkable stretch of time for anyone who loves games that ask something real of you. The second half is already looking dangerous, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. That is all for this video. Thank you for your support, and I will really appreciate a sub on the channel. It means more than you think to me, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep watching, keep playing. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like the video, comment or subscribe for more. It really helps the channel out and I truly appreciate it a lot. Take care, keep watching and keep gaming.